about Skills Development Scotland, who we are and what we do. So Skills Development Scotland, also known as SDS, because that's a bit easier to say, is the National Skills Agency for Scotland. And as part of this, we deliver Scotland's career service, as well as Scottish apprenticeships and also Scotland's redundancy support offer, PACE, and that's on behalf of Scottish Government. So our career service is free to everyone in Scotland. And we have careers advisors in every school in Scotland, in Skills Development Scotland centres, community venues, and at the end of the phone via our Careers Information, Advice and Guidance Helpline. And I'll give you details on all the ways to get in touch at the end of this webinar. So we're an all-age service. We're not just for young people, and we support people of all ages and all stages of their career journey. And we offer expert advice and guidance on a number of things, including career choices and changes, job search, CVs and applications, apprenticeships, learning and training, and as I mentioned, help with redundancy situations through our PACE offer. So in this webinar, I'm going to give you a wee bit of food for thought about how you can move on successfully using career planning and by making the most of the support available from our careers advisors. So let's start to think about the nitty-gritty of career planning. But first of all, maybe if you can think back to when you were about to leave school, and this might be easier for some of us than others. Can you remember what job you wanted to do? Did you end up doing that job? What about now? Do you have a plan in place? I think it's probably fair to say that when I was at school, I wasn't dreaming of becoming a careers advisor. In fact, I probably didn't have any idea about what my career future would look like. So I put a little picture of a crystal ball up here, and that's because I suppose the future is always uncertain. And as humans, we change and grow over time as our lives, priorities and responsibilities change. So traditionally, a career might have been regarded as a straight road, a straight line between A and B. But today, I think it's fair to say the journey is much more complex and ever changing. There's much less emphasis on a once and for all plan. Instead, our career might involve interesting but unplanned discoveries. There are some of us who may still experience a relatively straight route, of course, but most of us will change direction or roles several times, experience multiple employers and have our work interrupted for a number of reasons. And that could include redundancy, health issues, raising a family, travel, caring for a loved one, or perhaps deciding to embark on learning or training. And this journey may require you to consider jobs or working patterns that didn't exist even a few years ago. So the key is to be ready for change so you can move on successfully should the need arise, either through choice or necessity. And this means we need to focus more on the now and build in the resources we need to navigate this journey that we're taking so you can make decisions and seize opportunities along the way. We'll talk in this webinar about setting goals and taking advantages of opportunities that present themselves. And we call this developing career management skills. So by being confident and developing these skills, that will make your journey a much smoother one. So the best way to predict the future is to create it. So let's look at career planning in a bit more detail. So we know that there are many benefits to career planning, and here at Skills Development Scotland, it's our aspiration that Scotland becomes a nation of career planners. So what are the benefits of career planning? So planning your career is key to guiding your working life and ensuring career progression, personal growth and professional development. Despite its importance, many people don't take the time to plan their careers and future. You might spend more time planning a holiday than planning your career. Planning a career is the process of mapping out your career choices, establishing career objectives, and deciding how to improve the skills required to achieve your goals. And you can start this process at any point in your life. It's never too late. Career planning can help you identify what you're good at and determine how your skills, talents, and values align to possible job opportunities. It helps you match your career goals to your educational and financial needs, as well as consider your well-being in relation to your career or job goals. A recent study, albeit of young people's career ambitions, was carried out by Skills Development Scotland, and it showed that the number one motivator for young people entering the world of work is money. And while that's important, there is much more to career than money. And by proactively planning your career, you form a career path that aligns with your personality, your values, and your interests. And getting the right job for you contributes positively to your mental and physical well-being, as well as helping you earn enough money to live well. So there's certainly lots to be said for career planning. So I've worked as a careers advisor for over 20 years, and during that time it's been my absolute privilege to work with adults of all ages and at all stages of their career. And if you've not spoken to a careers advisor recently, I'd like to give you an idea of what to expect. So we would tend to schedule a meeting that would last up to an hour in the first instance, and you can have as many meetings as you like with a careers advisor. Our door's always open. So if your career plans get stuck or your ideas or circumstances change, you can come back and talk to us at any time. So what's in it for you? Why is it worth taking the time to discuss your career and job goals with a Skills Development Scotland careers advisor? Lots of reasons, I think. A meeting with a professionally qualified careers advisor allows you to have a meaningful conversation with purpose. We won't tell you what to do, but will help support and guide you in your decision making. So our person-centred approach will put your needs at the heart of the conversation, will help you make sense of your own situation to support you to do all these things. Determine who you are, work out what you've got to offer, identify your career options, fill in any gaps, ascertain your goals, prioritise your options, make a decision, and create a plan of action. So there's quite a lot you can be thinking about. And as I said, it doesn't have to happen in one go. You can take as many times as you like to have a meeting with the careers advisor to discuss any or all of these things. So I'm going to take a short pause just now, just to see if we've got any questions so far.
At the moment, Heather, we've not got any questions in the chat, so we can keep going.
That's okay. I'll just carry on. I've always got lots to talk about anyway, so that's fine. Just for anyone who joined a little bit later, just to be aware that you can put any questions or comments into the chat. Courtney, who's with me today, will keep an eye on the chat, and she'll highlight any questions to me at suitable stages in this presentation. But I'll move on. So the fact that you've joined this call today would suggest to me that you are starting to think about your career planning and your future job goals. So you may have already started to think about what you want to do. And a meeting with a careers advisor can help you prioritise your next steps to help you achieve your goals. And if you're unsure about what you want to do, it can be really worthwhile to discuss your options with a careers advisor. And when we think about options, we think about what's available to you overall. And this will include things you already know about, but also perhaps things you're yet to discover. We'll help you explore what's right for you. So what do you want to do? There's lots of options available. And for some of us, staying in the same area of work is the easiest option, as we tend to have the skills and experience and qualifications to allow us to do this. But also the paths for progression tend to be a bit clearer. However, this option may not be always possible. Working practices change, there's changes in technology. We all know that technology is moving very quickly, and that can bring changes to certain types of work, and other industries might disappear altogether. So a move to a different type of work, it could be an unhappy necessity, but it could also be a welcome opportunity. It could be the chance to do something you've always thought of. So what I tend to recommend as a careers advisor is considering some of these options concurrently, and that's sometimes known as portfolio working. And this is something we'd always recommend. It tends to ensure that you're employable on a long-term basis. So there is a bit of a difference between being employed and being employable. And being employable means that your longer-term goals tend to be more assured. And it can be helpful to think about what you can be doing now to ensure that if things do need to change, you're in the right position to take up new opportunities. And if we think back to the pandemic, for example, people who were on furlough, unable to do the job they were employed to do, they took up other part-time work. Some of them started up an online business. Others took up learning or did voluntary work, or maybe a combination of these things. And they can all help you to develop new skills and experience. And you don't need a pandemic to think about more than one option. Even retirement, which I've put on this list as well, doesn't necessarily mean leaving the world of work altogether. We're all living longer. There's always opportunities to carry on, though it could be you could be working less hours, being active in your local community, taking up learning, and so on. The world is your oyster. So how do you choose what's right for you? Let's have a look. So let's have a look at my tips for finding the right option. Do your research. So finding good quality information about careers, jobs and learning is key to effective decision making. Good quality decisions are based on good quality information. So where would be the first place that you would look for careers information? Who would be the first person you would ask? Take a moment to think about this. Researching online can be a fantastic starting point. Of course, you can just Google your question, and this can be very effective and produce lots of information. But how do you filter out the good from the bad? A great place to start is our website, myworldofwork.co.uk. And at Skills Development Scotland, we have teams of colleagues working to ensure that all the information at My World of Work is as up to date as possible, with in-depth information about careers and jobs, labour market intelligence, how to create a CV, how to do well at interview, and how to search for learning and training opportunities, as well as voluntary work and lots more. It's also worth taking time to consider these options and don't be rushed into a big decision. Take your time. And I think quite crucially, talk about your options. And this could be with a trusted friend or family member. And it can also be really good to speak to somebody independent of your situation who's unbiased and has your interests at heart. And you won't be surprised when I recommend our professionally qualified careers advisors who can support you at every stage of your career journey. So once you've found the resources you find most helpful, use them to find out as much information as you can on the job, sector or courses you're interested in. And this research will help you make well-informed decisions. These decisions can be about what you don't want to do, as well as what you definitely want to pursue. But the more good quality information you have on which to base your decisions, the more likely you are to achieve a positive outcome in your next steps. So you'll probably find that you have more than one option you're interested in. So again, I talk about taking time. Take time to think about each in turn, and it can be really helpful to ask yourself these questions, and I've put them up on this slide. What does the opportunity offer? There could be financial benefits. That would be helpful. Perhaps opportunities to travel, gain further qualifications, or gain vital experience. What does the opportunity demand? Is it full-time, part-time? Will you need to commute? Or would you need to be doing evening or weekend shifts? Is that something new for you? Also worth thinking about what challenges the opportunity might present. Do you need to take a financial cut? Do you need to relocate? Or do you need to work from home? For some of you, these things may be easier or harder. So take a moment now just to have a wee think about what other questions you might ask when carrying out careers research. But all this information gathering will put you in a stronger position to start making some well-informed decisions. However, I think it's fair to say there's more to it than just hard facts. It is worth asking that final question, how does it make you feel? Because it's worth bearing in mind that instinct also plays a vital part in our decision making. So we've talked so far about how researching opportunities and considering your options are key to effective career planning. And at some point, you'll need to make a decision about your next steps. So the good news is that you only need one option, and by doing your research, you're more likely to choose the right one. However, some people can find the process of decision making quite daunting, and there are good reasons for this. One reason why it's fun to fantasize about the future is that you get to contemplate all the wonderful things you could do without having to make a choice. Making a decision, on the other hand, is agonizing, not just because you might get it wrong, but because it forces you to sacrifice all but one of your possible futures. So by choosing one option, it will be necessary to give up the others. And I put this little speech bubble on this slide, which is saying you can stop fretting that a given choice might later provide grounds for regret, because it definitely will. Sometimes the more we ponder the pros and cons, trying to work out the perfect decision, the more likely we will end up not being able to see the wood for the trees. So remember, you can always change your mind. And if you make a mistake, learn from it, use it to move forward. And of course, you can always talk things over with a careers advisor. So let's have a little think about luck. Do you believe in luck? Are you a lucky person? Are some people luckier than others? So I'm going to go back in time a wee bit and quote the Roman philosopher Seneca, who said that luck is what happens when opportunity meets preparation. And it was true then, and it's true now. And the good news is you can create your own luck. It's not something that just happens. So I've been reading some work by Professor Richard Wiseman, and he researches how preparation can be key to feeling and being lucky. And you can follow these tips. So he tells us that lucky people maximize opportunities. They're skilled at creating, noticing, and acting upon chance opportunities and trusting their intuition when making choices. Lucky people expect good fortune. They create self-fulfilling prophecies via positive expectations. Excuse me. They turn bad luck into good luck by adopting a resilient attitude and not dwelling on any ill fortune. All careers advisors at Skills Development Scotland are professionally trained, and this includes studying a range of career theories. One of my favourites is Planned Happenstance, which recommends making the most of opportunities that present themselves by being ready for them and acting on them. So planned happenstance involves clarifying your ideas by following your curiosity and identifying your interests, removing the blocks by wondering, how can I, rather than believing I can't do this. Expect the unexpected. Be prepared for those chance opportunities such as unexpected phone calls, chance encounters, impromptu conversations, and new experiences. Even if you were out walking the dog, you might bump into somebody who can tell you something interesting about a job or career, and it might just get you thinking differently. Take action on what you've learned, develop your skills, remain open to ideas, and follow up on those chance events. So, you've done your research, you've identified the options that are right for you. How do you start to make things happen? Let's consider goal setting. Many people do not have clear goals in life, and I would probably include myself in that. The jobs people do and the things they achieve are often dictated as much by circumstance as by choice. However, research shows that if you have clear goals, I've clicked too far there, sorry. Research shows that if you have clear goals and make plans to achieve them, you're much more likely to succeed. So some people like to apply the SMART technique to their goal setting, and I've put this up on this slide. This is where your goals are identified as specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So a SMART goal is specific, your goal is clearly defined. Measurable, you can evidence your progress. Achievable, you have confidence that you'll get where you want to be. Realistic, you have a practical idea of what can be achieved. And time-bound, you set time limits for each goal. Of course, goals can relate to work, education, health, relationships, family, finances, having fun, and so on. Have a think about your number one goal. Write it down if you want to. And you can have a think after the session today about how you can make your number one goal a SMART goal. So make sure you're being realistic about reaching your goal and give yourself time to achieve it. As mentioned, writing down your goals can help. And remember to review them on a regular basis. Don't be afraid to change the goals as you go along. Be flexible. Let go of any goals you no longer think are relevant or smart. So going back in time again, Mark Twain said that the secret of getting ahead is getting started. And the secret of getting started is breaking your complex, overwhelming tasks into small, manageable tasks and starting on the first one. This is good advice. And you'll probably also find you feel more motivated once you start to take action, as you'll begin to see the results of your career planning as you move positively towards your goals. It can be useful to consider the steps you need to get to a goal rather than simply focusing on the goal itself. And a career action plan can be really useful here. You can ask your careers advisor for help with this or have a go yourself. Here's a quote that sums it up quite nicely. So work backward from your dreams, not forward from your past. So action planning is turning your goals into actions and making them happen, and involves thinking about where you want to be and then how you're going to get there. I've put 3 important questions you can ask yourself when action planning up on this slide. What's my current situation? What would I like to do? And what steps do I need to get there? So if your current situation is A and what you would like to do is B, there could be any number of steps in between to help you reach your main goal. And a good tip is to treat each step as a mini goal. By breaking things down into these small steps, it can be much less overwhelming. For example, if your goal B is changing my career, this is a pretty big goal and can seem unachievable if you don't yet know what job you want to do. The steps that you take to get there can be your smaller goals. For example, we have a skills discovery tool in My World of Work, and that could help you pinpoint your transferable skills. You could speak to a family friend about their job, as it sounds quite interesting. And of course, you can talk with a careers advisor about what's important to you in your life and work. You can do some careers research, as we've talked about, take up some learning, and so on. And the good news is, by reaching these mini goals, you will feel more motivated to carry on and achieve more, which in turn will lead you closer to your main goal at B. And of course, you can make each of these mini goals a SMART goal too. I'm just going to pause again just now, Courtney, just in case anyone's inspired to ask me a question.
There's been some questions and comments coming in whilst we've been chatting, Heather, so we've covered a couple of those off within the chat as well. So some comments just saying that it's great to know that the service is not just for school age, and asking for a bit more information on getting in touch. So we've put in the details around My World of Work and the helpline and finding your local location. I've also had a question that's coming in around sectors, so asking what sectors are the ones where there's lots of jobs in Scotland and internationally.
Oh, internationally as well. Okay, I may not be able to speak internationally for the time being. What I would say about some of the sector stuff, we have some excellent sectoral information on My World of Work around our labour market intelligence. It's a bit of a red herring to ask where all the jobs are, and it was a question I got asked a lot as a careers advisor. Where are all the jobs, Heather? And in actual fact, that's probably fairly clear if you do even a brief look at some of the job vacancies that are out there. So, for example, we know that opportunities in health and social care, there's an abundance of those. But actually, the reason I said it was a bit of a red herring is because I think as careers advisors in Skills Development Scotland, we look at what's right for you as an individual. So actually it doesn't matter if there's 3 jobs in that area or 103 jobs in that area. It's really looking at what's right for you, what fits with your values and skills and interests, and helping you work towards that opportunity. And it's definitely something you could unpick a bit further in a discussion with the careers advisor. So thank you for that question. What we can do after this session is put together perhaps an FAQ, some frequently asked questions and some answers to those, and that'll help you think a bit more about all of these themes that have come up. So thanks for that question. I'm conscious of our time, so I'm going to move on. But please do keep asking your questions in the chat and making comments. Yes, we are an all-age service. I spent my whole career working with adults, so it's often overlooked. I'm well aware of that, but it's definitely something that's there and really something that you can tap into and make the most of. So we're really at the end of the session and we're coming up to the final minute. And I hope it's given you some ideas about how career planning can improve your chances of getting the right job for you. So my final recommendation is to set some time aside every week to think about your future. Even half an hour can make all the difference. And this webinar is just the start. So make every week Careers Week. Make career planning a regular event. We talked about SMART goals, so you can start to think about how to set your career goals using the SMART method. As mentioned, it's worth reviewing and adjusting them often and discard any if need be. Identify ways to grow your skills and experience to gain access to more career opportunities, and this could be part of your discussion with the careers advisor. They can also help you understand how to take up training, learning and volunteering opportunities and the best places to seek out these opportunities. It's also worthwhile to keep your CV up to date with all your new skills, education and expertise that you've gained as part of your golden time. Career planning does require effort, but it also brings rewards. So take time to recognise what you've achieved. Give yourself a pat on the back, especially when you've reached one of your mini goals. And of course, make the most of what Skills Development Scotland can offer by arranging an appointment with the careers advisor. I've got a final slide here, which probably does what Courtney's done already in terms of letting you know how to get in touch. But just as a reminder, you can access free careers information guidance services in person, online and over the phone. Our careers advisors are professionally qualified experts and we deliver guidance services from a network of SDS centres and community venues in every local authority in Scotland. And you can find your nearest location at myworldofwork.co.uk/centres. A reminder that our website, My World of Work, is also packed with lots of careers information and advice. So have a look there and see what you can find. And finally, our expert advisors are also available on the phone. We support customers through our national free phone helpline, which is open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that's 0800 917 8000. And I think that's it from me. I've gone a minute over time, so apologies for that, but many thanks for coming along today. I hope you've enjoyed the session and just to wish you happy career planning.